If mangroves were gamers, they would be the most resilient, tough, and hardcore. You wanna know why? Because they thrive in harsh and salty environments. Basically, they're just like Navy SEALs. Anyway, mangrove. Mangrove is basically a tree or shrub that grows in coastal or brackish water. There's about 110 mangrove species, but only 54 species contributes to the true mangroves. Mangroves are so hardcore that they thrive in extreme conditions such as high salinity, extreme tides, strong winds, high temperature, and anaerobic soils. There might be no other group of plants with such highly developed biological, ecological, morphological, and physiological adaptation to extreme conditions such as the mangrove. But still, they remain one of the world's most productive ecosystem. They protect coastal areas from soil erosion, storm surge, typhoons, and tsunamis. The mangrove roots also offers a quiet marine habitat for a wide range of organisms such as the algae, barnacles, crabs, oysters, sponges, and bryozoans. They also provide a nesting grounds for fishes, migratory birds, and sea turtles. Mangroves also help in alleviating climate change by storing massive amounts of carbon from the atmosphere, accounting for approximately 10% of global carbon burial. Mangroves are also essential in maintaining water quality. With their vast network of roots and their surrounding vegetation, they help in filtering and trapping sediments, heavy metals, and also other pollutants. Their ability to hold or retain sediments protects the sensitive habitats such as the coral reefs and the seagrass beds. So how did mangroves adapt to its harsh environment? Mangroves evolved from terrestrial plants rather than marine plants. This is due to the fossil records being found in estuaries rather than marine environments such as the oceans. And further adaptation leads the plant to grow in brackish water, and this became the foundation of the mangrove taxa. And mangroves are very, very old. It is believed that the ancestral angiosperm survived and they successfully acquired salt tolerance during the Cretaceous period. And from the TTC, they further spread worldwide. We can also connect the mangrove fossil records to the history of our planet. Historical changes in mangrove distributions can also reveal details about paleoclimates and sea level changes. For example, in the Maya wetlands of Belize, radical changes of salinity was happening during the Holocene period. Freshwater conditions was prevalent during the 1700s and the 5600 BP, and then the mangrove species emerged during the 4800s. This was due to the rising sea level. This made the Maya wetlands more saline, which then mangroves are known to thrive. It's free real estate. And in Poverty Bay, New Zealand, presence of white mangrove fossils were found during the early to mid-Holocene period. This suggests that the area had a frost-free climate. This makes sense because during the early to mid-Holocene, the temperature was warmer compared to what we have now. And this phenomenon is called the Holocene climatic optimal. And now let's move on to the mangroves adaptation. Breathing roots, also known as pneumatophores, they are found in black and white mangroves. These breathing roots have numerous pores called lenticels, which then the atmospheric oxygen enters into. They act like a snorkel for the plant. And mangroves need these breathing roots due to mangal environments has little or no oxygen. And take note that plants also need oxygen. And the waterlogged soil contributes to the negative geotropism of the roots. And these roots also have a positive aerotropism. And this helps the plant to locate where the atmospheric oxygen is. So it also looks like the AoE attack of the lesion from Witcher 3. But there have been cases of white mangrove where they usually have pneumatophores are now developing stilt roots. However, there is still no evidence in why would white mangrove prefer stilt roots over pneumatophores. But my hypothesis is that this is due to the rising sea levels. There have been cases where high tides would flood and cover the entire pneumatophores, which will make them useless. And the continuous flooding makes the soil much difficult to attach. And this might be the reason why white mangroves would develop stilt roots, because stilt roots have a more developed root system where anchorage and support is very reliable. Salinity. Mangroves can thrive in saline environment due to its advanced adaptive mechanisms. They can either exclude salt or they could excrete salt. Black and white mangroves both excrete salt. So first they take up saline water, then they excrete about 90% of the saline water salt content through its specialized salt glands located in the leaves. But adequate rainfall is also needed. This is due to the accumulation of salts in the leaves is detrimental to the plant. So they need adequate rainfall to flush these accumulations of salt out. While for the salt exclusion, Rhizopora, Brugueria, and Cereops possess these ultra-filters in their root system, preventing salt from entering the roots, just like reverse osmosis. There is also a study regarding the feasibility of using mangroves for a novel technology in desalination. You should check that out. Another adaptation of mangroves is its ability to reproduce. So how does mangrove reproduce in this waterlogged ecosystem? Mangrove seeds actually germinate and develop into a seedling while it is still attached to its parent plant. This phenomenon is called vivipary, which then the parent plant supplies the required nutrients for the seed, or what we actually call propagules, to grow. So why does mangrove need this adaptation? Because saline and waterlogged soils are unfavorable for a plant to germinate. So when the propagules mature, they would eventually fall from the tree, or they would float and the tide will carry them. And when the water flushes out, they would self-erect and would develop into a new plant. This is also a mechanism for the mangroves dispersal. So that's just an introduction. I will be covering more about mangroves in depth in the following videos. So make sure to follow and subscribe.